You're listening to Maccabee Nation, episode number 8. Time for Jews to vote for Trump. Maybe. Let me start by saying that until relatively recently, I considered myself a never-Trumper. So this has been a hard article for me to write. That said, let me lay out the reasons I can't vote for Biden, and why I'm strongly considering a vote for either Trump or the worm in Kennedy's brain. Voucher 1. Biden started pandering to the radical Jew-hating left in the weeks following the October 7th attacks in an attempt to shore up his rapidly evaporating base. The far left has made clear that when it comes to Jews, not just Israelis, they either want to commit acts of violence against us directly or are willing to ignore attacks and incitement when they happen. The most recent failure of mayors in Democratic stronghold cities was in NYC this week, when mobs protested outside the Nova Memorial exhibition, which commemorated those murdered on October 7th, waving Hamas and Hezbollah flags and calling for further violence. Check out the video in the written version. Not to be outdone, protesters also recently boarded a subway car and yelled at passengers to raise their hands if they're a Zionist, and then said, "This is your chance to get out." Biden is the President of the United States. He has the power to use law enforcement to stop incitement and violence against Jews and to prosecute clear supporters of terrorism. None of that is protected under free speech. I am the most staunch free speech supporter you may ever meet. Read my article criticizing the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act here. But threats of violence and actual violence cannot be condoned. Yes, there are far-right nationalists who also hate Jews, but they at least wear the Nazi uniform and admit their insidious intentions openly. What can I say? I'm a sucker for authenticity. The radical left, on the other hand, cloaks themselves in Orwellian doublespeak and sanctimonious hypocrisy as they spread their evil, which makes them possibly even more dangerous and certainly more annoying. Monarch 2. Biden is as great a threat to democracy as Trump. Former President Trump was recently convicted in his hush money felony case in the state of New York. In my opinion, these were phony charges that wouldn't have been brought against any other private citizen. Let's quickly list the reasons why this was some kangaroo court banana republic shit. The judge donated money to Democratic organizations, then would not recuse himself from the case. The change of venue to a less partisan district was also denied. Alvin Bragg specifically campaigned on going after Trump. He reverse-engineered a way to do it after deciding he wanted him convicted. This reeks of the Stalinist mantra, "You show me the man, and I'll show you the crime." A novel legal theory was used to turn a petty misdemeanor into a plethora of federal felony charges. It was filed in a state court after the federal government had already looked at the charges and decided not to pursue. Even CNN's senior legal analyst called this a Frankenstein case, cobbled together with ill-fitting parts into an ugly, awkward, but more or less functioning contraption that just might ultimately turn on its creator. Trump is no angel, but let's not forget the Biden political machine used the alphabet agencies to subvert information last election cycle about Biden's son that likely would have impacted the voting decision of many Americans. On top of his rampant use of lawfare against a political rival, he's proven himself to be every bit as power-hungry, corrupt, and vindictive as Trump. Let's be honest. The verdict in this case won't change anyone's mind on the left or right. However, it has shown how far Biden is willing to go to placate his own ego and to avoid letting the American people decide their president without election interference. The 3. Biden will bring down the temperature and unite the people. My ass. Most Americans agree on the majority of policies, but we've been tricked and manipulated into believing the people on the other side of the aisle are bad actors. While we fight amongst each other, we degrade our ability to competently select good leaders in the center that most of us can agree with. Biden was supposed to be that leader. He told us he would govern as a moderate, bring people together, and pass the torch to the next generation. I bought it, sadly. Instead, he has different talking points for each audience, and has managed to infuriate both sides. He's dropped the torch on the ground and burned the house down. Number 4. Biden has no marbles left in the sack. Biden is clearly going senile. I don't want to even waste time writing all the examples. He is being propped up with sticks and horse steroids, and his unelected surrogates are running the show. If you support Biden, and can look me in the eye, and honestly say he can make a lucid decision about firing off a nuke in under 3 minutes, then you're just in a different version of the same cult you accuse the MAGA supporters of being in. Number 4. Biden has zero character. Before we talk about his utter lack of character, we should remind ourselves what character is, because it's been so long since we've actually seen a leader who has it. Integrity, courage, accountability, collaboration, humility, justice, temperance, transcendence, judgment, and humanity. Sometimes these traits may be at odds with one another, but knowing how to keep them in balance is crucial to having strong character. In an environment where reaching across the aisle or admitting a mistake is considered treasonous by people within your own party, it's hard to have character and be successful politically. To this end, let's examine Biden more closely for a minute. He trots out his personal tragedies as political props for his own benefit. He prosecutes his political opponents. He clings to power to the detriment of his party to placate his own ego. He takes no ownership or accountability whatsoever. When talking about inflation or immigration issues, he blames previous leaders for our woes, as if he hasn't been vice president and now president for much of recent history. He has no courage to stand up to extremists in his party and espouses views he disagrees with because he thinks it will earn him votes. Trump and many other leaders have faults and lack character too, but few amongst them try to take the moral high ground and act with such self-righteous indignation. For 5. Biden sucks at foreign policy and is leading us into WW3 if we're not already in it right now. Biden clearly does not understand the Middle East, Russia, China, or any other important foreign regime. He tries to middle-of-the-road every issue, so he consistently gets the worst of both worlds. The man couldn't negotiate himself out of a wet paper bag. Nations are seizing on a weak America to pursue territorial adventurism around the world because of how meek they think Biden is. A weak America is bad for the entire world. Trump proved to us that being a little bit unhinged can be beneficial. If there's a 5% chance he'll do something crazy, you need to take that seriously, and it gave America a strong hand to negotiate with on many foreign policy matters. For those who claim he'll throw Israel under the bus, I am not sure how you can reconcile that with his record. He negotiated the Abraham Accords, moved the American embassy to Jerusalem, and recognized Israel's governance in the Golan Heights. It's not like I'm advocating we take the mystery box over the Hamas apologist regime we have now. There's an actual record that can be analyzed. Number 6. Biden isn't just an asshole now because he got old. He's always been an asshole. We cannot depend on him as an ally in the fight against radical Islamist ideologies. In June 1982, Joe Biden was a senator from Delaware and confronted Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin during his Senate Foreign Relations Committee testimony by threatening to cut off aid to Israel. Begin responded by telling him,
"I am not a Jew with trembling knees. I am a proud Jew with 3,700 years of civilized history. Nobody came to our aid when we're dying in the gas chambers and ovens. Nobody came to our aid when we were striving to create our country. We paid for it. We fought for it. We died for it. We will stand by our principles. We will defend them. And when necessary, we will die for them again, with or without your aid."
Oof. Sorry about that voice ghost of Begin. I don't have any Israeli-sounding voice options on this soundboard. Where have I seen this movie before? History has a way of repeating itself. Like many Americans, I look at the choice between these two inadequate leaders and wonder how the hell we got here. Can I vote for Trump? I'm not sure yet. I do know I can't vote for Biden, and I am hoping many Jews, Democrats, and independents also come to the same conclusion. That worm in Kennedy's brain sure looks juicier every day. Stay classy, Maccabee Nation. Until next time.